Do you know how many times in a day you would have died had it not been for your kidneys clearing out your mess? I mean, at this point it's quite obvious that you're trying to survive so badly. Well, let me tell you that it is not you. The kidneys are the real lifesavers. These organs belong to a very important system known as the urinary system. We are already aware of the vital functions of the system, which is cleaning blood, removing waste, maintaining osmotic balance, blah 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 blah. But how does it really work to do that? Let me first tell you where your kidney lies. No, not in the chest, but in the lower back. There's a tube coming out of each kidney called the ureter, which leads the urine into the bladder. Yes, this bag-like structure. It stores the urine till the situation gets out of control, and when it does, the urine is excreted out of the body through the urethra. Now, the filtration of the blood takes place in this part. There are tiny filters in the kidney which cleans the blood and forms urine. These structures are called the nephrons, and believe me when I say that these are the MVPs of the whole system. And you're about to jump on a topic you hate the most. Exactly, the nephron structure. At the top there is the glomerulus, which acts like a sieve to filter out waste and extra water from your blood. But how does the blood plasma get into this region in the first place? Well, the blood plasma from the capillaries is pushed into the glomerulus because of the pressure difference. It travels from the high pressure region to a low pressure region. But of course, our kidneys can only handle a certain amount at a time, so they have to keep a steady flow going. We call this the glomerular filtration rate. When this fluid enters the Bowman's capsule, it's called a filtrate. At this point, it contains water, glucose, amino acids, salts, urea, some ions, and other nitrogenous waste produced by the liver. This filtrate starts its journey in the nephron. Outside the nephron, there is the fluid in this space. This is what we're going to call the tissue fluid. Now, before we move on to the next part, I really want you to understand the language of the nephrons. When they say something is getting reabsorbed, what they really mean is that something is moving from the nephron back into the tissue fluid. And when they say something is getting secreted, they mean that it's moving from the tissue fluid to the nephron. Now, they aren't just moving randomly here and there. Either they move through passive transport or active transport. In passive, the movement is from a region of high concentration to low concentration. It can occur through simple diffusion or by facilitated diffusion, which is a type in which some channels facilitate the diffusion process. The active transport is from a region of low concentration to high concentration. This process requires energy, or what we call in a more fancy way, the ATP. Now, getting back to your most beloved topic, this part is known as the proximal convoluted tubule. Then comes the loop of Henle, which consists of the descending limb and the ascending limb. Then we've got the distal convoluted tubule, and after that comes the collecting limb. A disclaimer for you all that I'm going to use the terms reabsorb and secrete again and again, because I really want you guys to get comfortable with them. Please forgive me for the torture in advance. In the proximal convoluted tubule, salt and water are reabsorbed. I repeat, reabsorbed. This means that they are moving from the filtrate back into the tissue fluid. But how is this really occurring? Well, the salt, that is NaCl, or rather Na positive and Cl negative, moves to the tissue fluid. This causes an increase in the solute concentration in the tissue fluid, which makes it hypertonic. Therefore, the water flows into it. Furthermore, the potassium ions, bicarbonate ions, amino acids, urea, and glucose are also reabsorbed. The hydrogen ions and creatinine, which is a waste product during protein digestion and muscle breakdown, are secreted. That is, they move from the tissue fluid to the filtrate. Notice that the movement of bicarbonate ions out of the nephron and the hydrogen ions into the nephron regulates the acid-base balance. This tells us that the PCT is important for pH regulation. Then comes the descending loop of Henle. The walls of this part have a lot of aquaporins. This is something that helps water move easily through. So this part is all about the reabsorption of water. When the filtrate reaches the ascending loop of Henle, the filtrate has become quite hypertonic, that is, more solute and less water. But here's the thing, the walls in this part have no aquaporins. So yes, only the movement of solute is possible to manage the high amount of the solute concentration. So Na positive, Cl negative, and K positive, these ions are reabsorbed, which lowers down the solute concentration. And at this point, the filtrate is getting diluted because you're losing a lot of salt. Then we've got the distal convoluted tubule. This part also plays a role in regulating the pH. The bicarbonate ion gets reabsorbed and the hydrogen ion is secreted. Moreover, the sodium and potassium levels are controlled by secreting the potassium and reabsorbing the sodium. The hormone aldosterone plays an important role here. When it is released, it increases the reabsorption of sodium to help restore the blood volume. Then we have the collecting duct. Here, the filtrate finally becomes urine. The collecting duct helps balance electrolytes and fluids, which are regulated by hormones. Water and certain ions, such as sodium and potassium, can be reabsorbed back into the bloodstream, while waste products like excess ions can be secreted into the urine. The urine then travels down to the ureters, which leads to the bladder where it is stored, till it is excreted out through the urethra. Hope you got an overview about what nephrons are other than a total headache. Thanks for watching.